Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. It's Tim and Julie Harris, and this is Real Estate Coaching Radio, and this is day two of one of our favorite topics, and I know it's one of your favorite topics too. It's 7 ways to make money now with new construction. And if you did not listen to day 1, that was, of course, yesterday, so make sure you go back and listen to that podcast. And remember, all of our notes from all of our podcasts are available exclusively for our harrisrealestatedaily.com newsletter subscribers. It costs you nothing to subscribe. We've made it very easy for you to subscribe to get all the notes. And we do offer a lot of information just for newsletter subscribers. So just go to harrisrealestatedaily.com and subscribe. It's easier for you to subscribe than it is for me to say the web address. So that's how easy it is. And remember, when you go there, just drop in your email address, and then you have to double opt in your email and confirm that you want the subscription. All right, Julie Harris, let's roll in. And this is where we're really going to dig in to the different strategies for all of you to start working directly with builders and start making a lot of money. And yesterday, Julie revealed, and I thought this was kind of fascinating, that around 30% of all available homes are new construction homes. And not all of those, I would venture a guess, most of those are not in the MLS. So how extraordinary of an opportunity is that for all of you? We gave you some specific plans yesterday, so make sure you listen to the show from yesterday. All right, Julie, let's go on to point number 1.
Yes, that's right. And we're going to literally go from the easiest, least expensive, 100% of you can do this, on up to much more advanced today. So we're going to start basic, and then we're going to, hover as we go through the different stages. And Tim, we can hover on any of these particular ways to make money in new construction, or we can fast forward. So you tell me, because I can talk about it all day.
I read your points, and the one thing I want to have folks wrap their minds around is if you are a real estate brokerage or real estate team, or an individual agent, all of these points can work for you. So Julie's first point, which she's about to read to you, I want you to imagine you have a buyer's agent staff, or you have a small brokerage, and everyone's obviously wanting to get transactional. Julie's first point will be a perfect hand in glove for that type of environment, or an individual agent as well. So when you're listening to these points, think how you can scale these ideas up or down. Julie?
Very well said. So we're going to start with the most basic. Number 1, you can cover builder model homes during their off hours. And we do have coaching clients doing this today, this weekend. Number 1, cover the builder model homes during off hours. Builders need licensed agents to cover sales centers. You'll get walk-in leads, list the buyer's homes if needed, and stay on top of mind for future projects. Find out where they're missing coverage. Oftentimes, this is going to be when they're just about done with one subdivision and they're starting another one. They've got the models built, the homes are just starting to be built, and they have not yet covered that with their sales team, or there's certain days or times of day where they don't have coverage. We have coaching clients. This is a brilliant thing. You do not have to be an employee of the builder. You can stay an independent contractor. You can just be yourself. You do have to have a bit of, knowledge of what you're selling. And in the times where we've had coaching clients do this, the deal has been, there's different ways to structure this. So don't feel like you're, out in the dark that you don't know exactly how to do this. But typically you'll cut a deal with the sales manager or the builder or developer themselves, where maybe you're going to work the model 2 days a week. If you sell their product, you make X. And if the buyer doesn't want to do that, they're not qualified, they go on, you get to keep that buyer. You also can sell that buyer's house. Go ahead, Tim.
So for example, we've had a lot of coaching clients that have done this. I want you to think outside of the box. This is kind of advanced player mode. A lot of these build sites, they're open during very specific hours, sometimes only on Saturday or sometimes only on Sunday. That's not to say that that's the only time buyers are looking for homes in those particular areas. And remember, you're not in competition with the new build rep. They're not resale agents. They usually don't even have real estate licenses. So what you can do is you got to, put a crate, like a milk crate, in your trunk. And then in the milk crate, put all the brochures for all the, say it's a new subdivision with 6 different builders. Go into each of the builder reps, grab, each of the new build reps and build homes, and then grab their home brochures with their permission, and then put them in your milk crate, organize them basically. And so you then make camp outside of the new build reps, and I can envision for all of you like 5 or 6 different new construction homes available. You park your car there. You've got something that's going to, maybe it's a magnet, maybe it's a sign, new home construction information, whatever. None of the new builders are there. They know, maybe if they do have a gate where they close the subdivision, you can park outside of the gate, and then you have the information that those buyers are going to want. You following me here? This is totally, no one's going to care that you're doing this. The build reps will not care that you're doing this because you're helping them sell houses. Because here's how. When you have a buyer that you come across from having that interaction, you get their information, and then you register that buyer with every single one of those new build reps. So by registering them, and we talked about this on every podcast practically, that's ensuring that you're going to get paid a commission. So you're sitting there in your car and somebody drives up and they're interested in the new construction thing and it's off hours. There's nobody there to talk with them. You're there to talk with them. You're going to share them information on the individual houses. You're going to tell them about the availabilities and the specs and all the lot costs and all those types of things. And then you're going to ask for their information, and then you're going to register them with every single one of those builders. So if that buyer comes back the next day and they decide to build with, Pulte or whatever, you're going to be registered with that buyer, which means that buyer, when they close on that property, you're going to get paid a commission. You following me with all this? To Julie's earlier point, you're going to have to befriend the new build reps so that they know you are, obviously, on the up and up, and they'll feel comfortable putting you on the contract. Sometimes the new build reps are very strict and they're going to say, you have to be there in the first meeting with the buyer. Well, if you have a relationship with that new build rep, they're probably not going to be that stringent, especially if they know that you're helping them out off hours. If this is a single builder with a single build rep, the same idea works. So start thinking more expansively, because 30% of all the available inventory is new construction across the country. That means there's going to be millions and millions and millions of real estate transactions that are being done. And I bet you in the new construction side of things, a vast majority are done without an agent, because agents don't realize how they can work directly with the builders. Many agents wrongfully think that new construction is competition and the agent or the new build rep is their competitor, and that's not the case.
No, that's right. And to hover on this one point about covering their models, another way to do that is to find spec homes and make that your open house this weekend.
Yep.
Because the new build rep isn't going to do that. They're going to be working the model. You can work the spec home and you can work together. So there's lots of different ways to do each of these points.
We're speaking in code there. So if you go to a new construction area, that builder, especially if it's a big national one, they're going to have houses that are, they don't have a customer for them yet, but they're building them. And their houses are going to be done in 60 or 90 days. The new build rep, again, they're not in competition with you for the commission on that house. They're getting paid differently than you. You then could say, listen, I'd like to hold this house open this weekend, put open house signs, the whole thing, gather more buyer opportunities. And then again, register all those buyers with the new build rep so that if those, buyers become build clients, then you're going to get paid a commission, or at the very least, meet some folks that might have resale homes in the adjacent community that they're going to want to sell. Get off your duffs, step away from your, TikTok videos, and actually go out there and meet folks. And you're going to find there's opportunity everywhere. Julie, let's get on to point number 2.
Yes, point number 2. So let's put that first one on the shelf. This is different. Get resale listings from build reps, from those reps that are sitting in the sales models. Many of those on-site agents don't want to or can't. And in many states, they're not even licensed, so they couldn't if they wanted to. They're not going to list the homes their buyers need to sell. Remember, most people, as you go up in price range, maybe not the very first entry level, but any price range after that, they're going to build a house, but they've got a house to sell before they can close. Builders don't like that. Most builders say you've got to remove your home sale contingency before we're in stick or in drywall or whatever their rules are. Some builders say you can't have a home sale contingency from the get-go. It just depends. You got to know what their rules are. So what happens to that resale lead? The new construction rep is not going to be that listing agent. Many of our coaching clients have those relationships. Our coaches who coach you to do this have these relationships where they're getting a steady flow of resale leads. Now, why would a new build rep want to do that? Because they're going to end up selling more knowing that that person's taken care of, instead of just sending them off into the wild saying, nope, no home sale contingency for you. Good luck. Come back when you've got your house sold.
Or even worse, the house Even worse, the house is done and the buyer can't close because they still have a house to sell.
Exactly.
So again, I'm going to give you guys some advanced information, but this is really only going to be relevant to you if you're a Premier Coaching client. But we have something called the Guaranteed Home Sale Program. And the way the Guaranteed Home Sale Program has traditionally worked can be applied to builders. Julie talked about Heath Moulton yesterday, and he does this with his new build reps. So the biggest fear that a build rep's going to have is the fact that they're going to put in contract somebody has a house to sell. Their resale house doesn't sell, and they can't then close on the new construction house. Well, when you list your house with Heath, he'll guarantee, like, so for example, he goes to the new build reps and he say, listen, you won't have to worry about those contingent contracts because any buyer that it also has a house to sell, you have them list the house with me, just give them my business card and I'll do my job. I'll put a guarantee on their home that their home will be sold within a certain amount of time, or I'll agree to buy it. And that way, when they'll have the money that they need to close on their new transaction with you, and you don't have to worry about any home sale contingencies. If I'm speaking in a foreign language to you guys right now, that's the reason you need to join Premier Coaching. But the Guaranteed Home Sale Program, where are you going to come up with the money for the down payment? Where are you going to how are you going to qualify all these things, right? That's what you're thinking. Tim, why would I want to guaranteed homes? I can't possibly buy them. Well, this is how you do it. First of all, if you think about this, you're going to have a commission on the buy side of the house that they're building. We told you yesterday, the Pulte essentially has $30,000 that they make available for, what was it called, Julie? I don't remember what it was called.
I remember the program. It's in the newsletter yesterday, though.
Yeah, it was in the newsletter yesterday. But you can ask the builder to pay you, let's say, a premium commission on any homes that are guaranteed homes, that clients that are, using your guaranteed home sale. They'll do it. And then the commission that you would have normally put on the resale home. So Bob and Betty are building with Pulte. Okay. So Pulte is I'm just going to pick some arbitrary numbers here. It doesn't mean anything. Not, giving you guys commission rates. I'm just giving you ideas here. Okay. So Bob and Betty are buying $1 million house, let's just say. And let's just say the buyer agent commission on that $1 million house is 6%. The builder is going to pay $60,000 in commission on that. Well, Bob and Betty have a house for $500,000 they need to sell. They've already agreed that they're going to pay a commission, obviously, to sell the house in order to buy the new house. Well, you could make the total commission and fees, trade fees is what we used to call them, on the house that they're selling be 10 to 15%. Now, if you add all these numbers up, you have 10 or 15%, so it's 50,000, let's call it 60,000 on the sell side, that you're going on the resale side, that you're going to be able to take as fees. And because they're using a guaranteed home sale, and then the builder's going to pay you 6% of $1 million. So here's another $60,000. You're going to be able to buy that resale home with essentially 20%, 25% down. And for many of you, that's going to be more than enough to purchase the house, or it's going to give you enough margin that you could buy that house and still put it back for sale, sell it to a flipper, or just keep it as inventory for yourself. Now, Julie and I offered this for years. Many of our coaching clients have offered these types of programs for decades. Generally speaking, you never actually have to close on it, but you will want to. Some of them, the deals are going to make a lot of sense. Great way to pick up rental properties with no money down. Great way to pick up rental properties and get all these other transactions. Because why? You're going to go to the builder. And you're going to say, builder, when you refer your listing leads to me, I'm going to put a guarantee on those listings so that when that buyer is in contract, they don't have to be home sale contingency with you. The build rep is going to love you for that because that's their greatest fear. The buyer, who's now your seller, is going to love you because you're what? Removing their biggest fear, not being able to close on the new home, owning two homes at once. You guys understanding how all this works? I know I just gave you guys some high level stuff, and maybe you've not been exposed to this level of thinking in the past. This is how you create your own unfair advantage in the marketplace. All of our top coaching clients, they have on top of their for sale signs, ask me about my home sale guarantee. I'll buy your house in 90 days or I'll buy it for cash. Mark Spain in Atlanta, Julie and I fly into Atlanta. Our family does when we go to our cabin in Murphy, North Carolina, and everywhere on the freeway up to almost the border of North Carolina and Georgia, you see these Mark Spain billboards, and that's all they say. Ask me about my 90-day guaranteed home sale program. I just told you guys how it works. Now, again, this might be a little bit, I can't do that. I'm a new agent. I get it. Then don't do it if you're a new agent. Julie and I started offering it our second year in real estate. And we did pick up some rental properties that we still own to this day because of it. And we would get listing leads and people would call us out and they'd say, I just want to sell my house and I want to use your guaranteed home sale program. The guaranteed home sale program would be also, without getting too much more into detail, they'd have to be moving up to a home that we had for sale. And this would be a person, for example, Julie, our house on Beachwald is this way. The lady's name was Ruth. She said, I'm moving out of state. I have a firm move date. I don't want to mess around with having the house for sale. I know your guaranteed only works if I'm moving up to a house you have for sale. What would be your 30-day offer to me? And then we made her an offer for like 30% off what the house would have been worth retail. Put it all on paper. You retail it, Ruth. This is how much you'll make. Or we'll guarantee it. She said, I don't want to mess around with it. I don't want to do any repairs. I just want to put just guarantee it. And that was the end of it. And for her, that made sense. Well, we had a lot of other opportunities just because we were being more creative and offering a guaranteed home sale program. So hopefully I'm expanding your thinking. If you guys like what you're hearing, like how you're feeling, just imagine how you're going to feel when you join Premier Coaching. Premier Coaching is your soup to nuts, A to Z, comprehensive real estate business plan, lead generation, team building, marketing, advertising, scripts, presentations, everything you can possibly imagine is waiting for you in Premier Coaching. And you can join Premier Coaching for free. Costs you, nothing, free, and you can cancel at any time. So it's not free. Oh, then there's a long-term contract. Nope. If you're not happy after 30 days or even any time after that, you can cancel with no strings attached. Premier Coaching, when you join now, gives you full access to the first level of Premier Coaching, and it does entitle you to a daily semi-private coaching call with one of our Harris certified coaches. Do the smart thing. If you like just what we're giving you from today's show and all the other shows, you're going to adore Premier Coaching. It is what you've been looking for. So go to premiercoaching.com or click the link below and just join Premier Coaching right now. Julie, let's get on to point number 3. Yes.
Yes, you can list spec homes, and you explain what a spec home is. Sometimes they are built, the builder's building 20 houses on that street. It's got contracts for 16 of them. It's more efficient to build 20 while they're at it, and that gives them 4 homes that are being built but don't have a contract on them. That can be a spec home. A spec home can also be a back on the market inventory home. So say somebody didn't sell their home when it was time to close on their new construction home. The builder says, I'm sorry, go back to day one. You can break ground again on something else and see if you sell your house. But their original house has still been built. So that's now an inventory home.
But Julie, there's little gotchas on that, right?
Yes.
So if they most people, when they build a house, they're I want to do different tile. The builder's going to say, well, we've given you a, $7,000 allotment for appliances. Well, these, I don't like them. I'm going to spend, $15,000. All the money that you put in the house above what was allocated just from the builder to the $7,000 extra for the kitchen appliances, the tile that you thought was amazing, the extra, all these things, right? The deck that you threw on the back, all the things that you went out of pocket or went above whatever the original contract price was. And everybody does it when they're doing new construction. It's just, that's what it is.
Yep.
It's part of the fun of doing new construction, right? You don't get that money back. They're going to hold that money and they might apply it to the next house that you're going to build with them, but they're not just going to give you back, okay, I get it. You didn't close on your house. We now customize this house for you, and we're just going to take the losses. Maybe someone doesn't want the extra nice appliances that you put in your kitchen, or maybe someone doesn't want the hot tub that you had us install extra. They're going to keep that. So you got to keep this in mind when you're talking with prospective build clients. That's again, it goes back to my previous point about why the guaranteed home sale program and offering that everywhere, every place. Is going to oftentimes get you opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise had. And again, why would you very rarely have to exercise the guaranteed home sale? Because there's a lack of inventory in most of the country, and most homes you put for sale, they're going to sell, even if they need a lot of work.
That's right. So there's 2 directions you can go. You can just flat out take the listing, as we've been talking about, get the referral from the new build agent, or you could put the guaranteed home sale on it. And to your point, just because you offer it doesn't mean you're doing it all the time. We have longtime coaching clients out in Washington State. They've done it for years. They even have a radio show commercial about it. And they want to buy homes like that. They're able to do maybe 3 a year. They're trying to do 1 a quarter, but those turn into flips. Most of the time, they're just getting the call. The person's just curious about it. It turns into a regular traditional listing lead, and it sells in the normal time frame. The point is to create more listing opportunity for yourself. So let's get back to that listing specs and back on the market inventory. The builder still wants that house moved. Many builders will give you 1 spec home to list and sell. You hold it open, you do all of your normal things. They're testing you out. Maybe you get that inventory moved for them and they give you 2 more. And maybe that leads to a relationship. One thing leads to the next. It's a great way to get your foot in the door. You know, one of the things that we did is the house wasn't even built. You remember when we listed 3 spec homes that were just blueprints for Truco Construction? They were all over $1 million. He hadn't even broken ground, but he allowed us to list those in the MLS. And we said, I think we said spring completion or something like that. And that was when, if you recall, that was one of our best springs ever, because every relocating executive that was coming into New Albany Country Club did not want to deal with a resale. They really wanted new construction. It looked and sounded like, you know, it was going to be done on time. And most of them bought something else or different new construction, but we still had those listings and ended up getting those sold, as well as what that threw off business-wise for us.
Yeah,
So-
just disclose that they're, you know, the completion date, this is a render, there's different MLSs
Sure.
that have different rules, but just overly disclose. Don't go and have AI make you some image that looks like the house is complete. That's, you know,
No,
that's
don't make
gross.
stuff up.
Yeah, don't make stuff up. And because the buyers, when they realize that your listings are malarkey, they're not going to trust you. Neither will the other agents. And so, you know, don't do that. As far as the Julie's idea, again, that's going to be, go to your, this is advanced player mode again. So go to your local builders association, the BIA, get a catalog or get their directory of all the builders that are working in your community. They're going to sell it to you when you join the BIA. You get it for free, at least that you used to. Like last year, I know you could do this. And then find the builders that are building in your particular neck of the woods. And then contact them directly and ask them what they do. How do I work with you if I had a buyer that wants to build a spec home? Do you do any, or I'm sorry, build a custom home? How do you work with, you know, do you do spec homes yourself? Are you interested in buying lots? Just find out what it's like to, and then sit down and have coffee with them and find out what their story is. Because in this BIA directory, it also lists how many spec homes they do per year. It lists how many homes they've sold total, what their price ranges are. Very, very powerful, valuable information, because most of your relationshiping is going to happen with those small and medium-sized builders. And the small and medium-sized builders are the ones that are usually selling the most expensive homes in the marketplace.
Yes, that's right. It's a nice benefit, isn't it? So on to, again, we're getting more and more advanced. So we started out by just hobnobbing with the new build reps and getting some referrals from them, maybe sitting some open houses for the builder. And now we were talking about actually listing for the builder. That can lead to point number 4, representing the entire development. Again, many of our coaching clients do this. They represent the entire subdivision, not just 1 or 2 homes, and not just bringing the buyers there. Become the listing agent for the entire community, every lot, every home. This gives you visibility, credibility, and massive potential commission volume. Again, there's no standard issue. All builders pay the same way on these types of developments. Some of them will say on the first 10 homes, it's going to be this, then the next 20 homes, it's going to be that. It's all pretty much negotiable. And I'd be interested what color you would put on that, Tim, because we did this. We have coaching clients that have done this. One of my clients has 2 different developments in 2 different states right now. Another one that I have in Tennessee, she was so involved. It was from when they broke ground, and the builder actually asked her to name the streets for him. So that's pretty involved, right? So
No, I mean, your idea is great. The thing is these, what's fascinating is that builders are oftentimes they have zero real sense of what the market is about. They
surprisingly, right?
Yeah. So honestly, it is surprising. It's, well, the small and medium ones. The small and medium ones almost always follow the same pattern. They used to be framers. They saw how much money the builder was making. They decided to be builders. That's usually the pattern that they follow. They were tradespeople and they decided to be builders, but they don't have what you have. They don't have market knowledge. They don't have any sort of reach into the community. They don't have the energy or really the gumption, if you will, to work directly with customers. You'll find builders sometimes that don't want to build custom homes because the buyers are such a pains in the butt with all the change orders. So you'll come across builders that only want to do specs and don't want to have the house listed for sale until it's done. So they don't want to have to deal with the, the change orders and the buyer changing their mind and deciding all the things. So you learn more about the marketplace. That's the reason our previous point was to start meeting with all these individual build reps and medium, small size builders and get to know what their fears are. So when you're choosing a listing agent, what are the 3 things you look for the most? What are the 3 biggest challenges you're having in the marketplace right now, Mr. Builder? How ready are you? Like if I were to present a lot to you that would be, an available buildable lot, for you, tell me exactly what would be the perfect situation. What are you looking for? You're looking for half-acre lots, 5-acre lots that you can subdivide, all those things. Get to know them, get to know what they're thinking about, and you might be their lifeline into the community. And again, don't be surprised. If you find a builder that actually is more connected to the community, more than just building the house, that's a surprise, because most of the ones that we dealt with were so, after they trusted us, we're so grateful for the fact that we were really filling in the gaps, because they were not at all tied in to the market trends. We ran across, and I have had coaching clients, and Julie as well, who they didn't even realize that, like, when you're doing a new construction, tastes change all the time. Styles will change. Walnut will all of a sudden be the thing. And then 6 months later, everyone wants, something else, right? And if the builder is not keeping up with what the current, HGTV hot housing trend is, he's going to end up making terrible decisions.
Even in floor plans and things like that.
Totally. Yep. I mean, open floor plans come and go. 2-story foyers come and go. Palladium windows, all these things come and go. But if you have to be the one that's telling the builder what's actually selling and what's not selling. And this is even more true when you go in the upper end, because they'll completely lose touch. And oftentimes they will start building what they like. And they developed their taste back in 1994, and they haven't updated anything, and they're wondering why their specs aren't selling. So hopefully we're opening your mind to the fact you could actually, if your market allowed, you could just simply you could build a career, especially given the fact that we're at the very beginning of this 25-year housing boom. You could easily have new construction be your thing for your entire career. And we gave you some ideas yesterday and today on how you can really specialize in that. I know some of you are having this like, wow, this light bulb moment. This is what you've been hoping for this is what you've been looking for. And here's the really great news for you. You will, again, I'm going with, dramatic words to get your attention, but you will indeed be shocked by the level, the lack of knowledge that your builders will have about the marketplace. And you'll be shocked by the lack of knowledge that your fellow agents will have about new builders. And so if you are going to be the one that knows how to, solve both those issues, you're going to make a fortune.
Yes. Knowledge equals confidence. Ignorance equals fear. This is a great place to build knowledge equals confidence, right? So the next thing we were talking about, listing the entire works. Next point is, once you've done that, you can move on to the next one, sell directly to your own buyers.
Point number 5.
Thank you. Bring your own buyers and represent both sides of the deal. The more buyers you close, the more trust you build with the builder. You're moving more inventory for them. Then you're going to get more repeat opportunities, maybe their next subdivision or their next project. And the interesting thing about some builders is some of them don't have just one thing that they do. We've had instances ourselves in our career, but also with coaching clients, where the builder's going to have like a little cutout, a little cul-de-sac where there's 10 homes. And then their next project is a lot bigger, and it takes 2 years to build. And meanwhile, they're also looking for teardowns and infill. Some of them are doing high-end remodels on the side. They've got a team that does that. There's all sorts of different branches you can go with this.
Let me touch on this. Julie just said two things that are really important. So first of all, idea one is when you have, again, this is not going to work with the big builders. It's going to work with the small and medium ones. You have a buyer. The buyer wants to buy Bob the builder's spec. Let's say Bob the builder does 3 to 5 houses per year. Bob the builder lists all of his properties with, a guy that he's known forever. You go to Bob the builder and you say, if I bring you my buyers, will you list your next spec with me? And then that can be a start of a long-term relationship where you're going to bring him a buyer, and then he's going to list the next house that he does on speculation directly with you. So that's a really a great potential idea. And I'm now having a brain fart about what my other idea was. Sell directly to your own buyers, bring your own buyers, or represent. I don't remember what it was. I'll remember when I stop trying to remember. But for now, that's a great idea. When you have a buyer, go to these new, like Julie, do you remember Tuckerman in New Albany Country Club?
Yep.
And so
he wasn't that his policy was whoever sells my next spec gets my next listing.
Yeah, exactly. And
that
so
was a good way for him to keep the playing field even.
Totally. And he wasn't showing favoritism to any particular listing agent or listing broker, which pissed the listing agents and brokers off. But you knew what you were going to get. You were going to get a commission on the buy side, and he always paid full commission. And then you were going to get a listing on the next side.
And he motivated every agent to want to show his spec homes because you weren't just going to sell a spec home. You were potentially going to get the next listing out of him too. It was kind of a brilliant idea on his part.
Completely.
Yes. So point number 6, find and sell land to builders. Again, we're getting more advanced. If you've got a lead on even a tear down or an infill lot, or maybe a parcel of land, bring it to your builder, sell them the land, get the listing for the new home, maybe sell it to your own buyer, and then lather, rinse, repeat. That can be big projects, that can be small projects. But I think one of the things that agents don't automatically think of when they take a new listing, or they're walking through something that's maybe a tear down or even an old commercial property that could turn into condos, they don't necessarily go right to, I should be talking to builders about this. But that's a great way to have an outbound prospecting call that's very business oriented. And if that builder isn't interested in the project, maybe they know somebody who is. Would you agree with that?
No, I do. And I was thinking about that too. Like you will find, for example, there's going to be, and this is all over the country, but mostly in the Midwest, you're going to find these lake communities, these communities that were developed, some of them like 20, 30 years ago, where they never completely sold all the lots, or they did sell the lots, but no one's ever built on the lots. Every market's got, like in Columbus, there was an area called Apple Valley, where it was just exactly what I described. And people would buy the lots and they never ever build on them. Well, it's an interesting opportunity now, but there's a lot of turnkey prefab type homes that you can buy. You guys have seen all this stuff. It's pretty extraordinary. You could build up a little VRBO. Maybe there's some people that are doing VRBOs in that community. What if you were to go and find those lots for sale? What if you were, and maybe they're expired lots, maybe they're lots that nobody wants to list because they're super hard to sell. But what you're going to do is you're going to say, well, here's the lot. It's $100,000. Here's the variety of different homes that we can have put on the house. And here it is, Mr. Investor who wants to be a VRBO, magnet. Yeah. You can now start building your own little VRBO community, that type of thing. Point is, everywhere you go, everywhere you look, every type of land, every type of property is an opportunity. You just have to see it like that. You have to think redevelopment, development, and look for the things that other people have passed over. It's so funny. Like, how many of you right now that are listening or watching know of lots or parcels, big, huge ass old things that no one ever would want? Oh my gosh, that's been sitting forever. How many people have been driving past that old commercial building? Maybe it's a building owned by the city or the state. There's going to be a lot of properties that are going to be for sale as a result of what's happening with the government. Yeah. Why not look at those as redevelopment opportunities? Why not look at something like that and think to yourself, how am I actually going to, I'm going to share with you guys, I won't use his name, but it was in Houston. And what he did, he would find exactly what I'm talking about. This sort of, and it was in not a very great area of town. And he would, what I'm talking about, Julie?
Yeah.
Yeah. His name starts with a V.
Yeah.
So he would find these big lots that were sometimes old multi-families, old commercial, whatever. In Houston, there's no real building codes, which is wacky, but you could have a subdivision right next to a single family home, right next to a Jiffy Mart. I mean, it's crazy. So he would go and find these parcels, and then he would turnkey the whole thing. And he made a fortune from this. Yep. Matter of fact, he just retired with a net worth of 10 million. It was tens of millions of dollars. Hold on a second, Joy. I'm sending you something in chat. And so what he would do is he would basically find these parcels. He'd put these parcels in contract. He would find somebody to make the blueprints. He would then find a builder, a developer builder, and then he would put it all together. So he would never actually close on the lots. What he would do is he would put the lot in a long-term contract. He then already had an architect that had already drawn the plans. He then would know what all the costs were because the architect had already done the specs. That's what architects do. It's going to cost this much in labor, this much in plumbing, this much in electric. And then he'd go to different developers. He had 3 or 4 different developers and say, here's a turnkey project on this lot. Where would he make his money? Every damn place. He'd make his money on the lot. He'd make his money on the new construction. He'd get all the listings. If any of them were leases, he'd manage the leases. He kept those relationships, and he would keep the obviously get the resale. And he did this for maybe 15 or 16 years. And I know he sold the whole thing, and he ended up, like I said, he's not even living in the United States anymore. He made so much money. He's living full time in Europe.
And on top of that, I think a lot of his stuff was in opportunity zones.
It was.
So there was even tax abatements and things like that. I know a lot of Vegas, some of that is happening there as well. And I was just reading about when I was doing these points, because point number 7 is what you just said, become a developer and or partner with one, look for all of those opportunities. One of the trends right now is to identify these old malls that are now vacant, because it's not just the building that is huge commercial space, but it's all of the surrounding parking lots. There's acres and acres, and most of those are still located in pretty popular communities in suburbia. It's just that that type of mall isn't the thing anymore, or it's, whoever owned it has fallen into, tough times and they need to get rid of it. There's lots of different versions of this. Tim, you'll remember like Worthington Mall, tons of acreage right in Worthington, very densely populated. Now there's different types of condos and there's new shops going on that's been redeveloped into restaurants and condos and apartments. So that's something that wouldn't have happened there 15 years ago, but there was so much land that somebody recognized that as primo opportunity to develop. And you don't have to do that on a large scale from the get-go. You can start with something smaller. You can partner. You can just be the listing agent on some of it. There's many different ways you can go. That's one of the reasons we get so excited about new construction, is because there's just a gajillion ways to make money from that.
And if you take Julie's example, and every community has something like this, a mall that was built back in the 70s or the 80s, and nobody goes to malls anymore, unfortunately. And so the moral of the story is a lot of that stuff has its highest and best use as real estate is going to be completely gutting it, leveling it, and then doing redevelopment as residential. And Julie also alluded to the fact that there already are a bunch of programs that the government will allow. Maybe it's an opportunity zone. Maybe it's all kinds of new programs that are going to be coming out as a result of what we believe is going to be called Make Housing Great Again. But because we're so short on housing, 45 million homes need to be built, and we're years away from there being enough supply to meet demand. You need to start thinking of yourself as more than just a resale agent. Look for the opportunity to start making more money. I'm telling you guys, the opportunity is everywhere in a market like this. Every single person you're ever going to come across wants to buy, sell, buy rental properties. Every single soul has a real estate need their entire lives. You are smart enough to be selling something that everyone will always need. It's a very unique thing, right? There's not too many things in life that are like that. So don't think in terms of scarcity. Don't think in terms of not enough homes for sale. Don't think of homes are too expensive, people can't qualify them. Stop thinking like that. You're missing the opportunity. You need to sometimes create your inventory, create your opportunity. Look, if you were to, for example, list a subdivision, it starts out as an old farm field. You sell it to, Pulte, or you sell it to a bunch of medium-sized builders. Think of all the different ways. That could be your entire real estate career. I mean, it could. You make the money when you sell it. You make the money on the resales. You make the money on the new, maybe you get the specs as part of the deal. Then you keep those relationships with those owners that live there. Then you start listing the resales, and that becomes your thing. There are a lot of top agents around the country who they got their start in that particular community because they were the new build rep, and everyone knows, loves, and trusts them, and they kept those relationships forever. Start thinking expansively because of the market opportunity. And if you're not thinking like that, you need to tune your frequency to really truly what this market's all about, which is being of service to other people, but realizing, accepting, embracing the fact that we are absolutely at the start of a 25-year real estate boom. Listen to our past podcasts on this topic. I'm really loving some of the comments on YouTube and on Instagram on those past podcasts. Some people are debating it, questioning our statistics, wondering why we think the way we think. And I'm responding, and Julie and I are responding to all of them because we are looking for reasons to believe that we're not right. We have not found anyone able to convince us that we're not right about what's going to be happening over the next 25 years. So you are in the right place at the right time. Now it's time for you to take the right actions. And Julie, I believe you have a bonus point.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I have to get back to my notes. My screen went. Okay. So the bonus point is financing is your secret weapon. We talk about this on a lot of podcasts. You're going to close more deals if you understand how to guide your buyers through the financing mazes. Our current 30-year fixed is about 6.5, 6.6, somewhere in there. Jumbo loans are starting to be competitive. US Bank has a rate that matches the regular fixed year. And rate buy downs, we've done entire podcasts on how to use different types of rate buy downs. The 2-1 buy down, buying down the rate, locking that in. Builders are really experts at that type of thing. And I do find it interesting. I mentioned earlier in this podcast, they're now combining that with down payment assistance money. So if you take the fact that some builders have down payment assistance money for your buyers, rate buy downs, maybe they use the down payment on that. Maybe it's in addition to that, they have higher than market commissions for the buyer's agent, and they have an endless supply of stuff they're building. That could be most of what you sell. I have coaching clients where like half of their deals are new construction because it is, and you remember, Tim, you and I joke all the time that we just like to walk through new construction because it smells good. It makes us feel cozy, right? And it is easier to sell in most cases, assuming they're not doing a humongous stretch for the price, in which case maybe that wasn't for them. But for most of them, especially after you've been showing them resale that wasn't quite meeting their needs, they didn't really like the floor plan, it wasn't their decor, they were going to have to change everything or add on. And then you take them to new construction and it smells good and it looks good and it's got all the options and it's great.
But what you're talking about is exactly what I was just thinking too. So there is a group of people out there that I'm definitely fearful of. We're talking about things to be excited about, optimistic about. But if you're a listing agent of a resale home and you're not aware of all the things we've just told you about, if you're not aware of the fact that the builder is going to offer a premium commission to the buyer's agent, and you're, thinking you're going to get away with offering a less than market rate commission, if you are not aware of the buyer's financing incentives that the buyers will have when doing new construction, if you're not aware of the fact that housing styles and trends change a lot, if you're not aware of all the reasons why resale homes will absolutely in many markets be suffering because new construction is really going to swing up the market, you're going to suffer yourself. And so
this is what causes expireds in a relatively hot market.
Right. Well, then we're back looking for opportunity, learning how to be an expired listing agent. But as a resale agent, be it on the buyer side or seller side, but on the listing side, let's say, you better sure as heck know this new construction stuff better than anybody, because the new construction stuff is what's going to create an unfair advantage for the builders in the marketplace. So you're going to have to learn to compete. For example, you're going to have to probably in some markets learn how to offer the same style financing that the builders are going to offer on your resale listings. Now, we go from fear to opportunity. Well, where does that create opportunity for you? If you're talking to a seller and you're explaining to them that the biggest competitor is these new construction homes and this is why, and this is what we're going to do to fight back, Mr. Seller, and your competing listing agents didn't offer anything like that, you're going to kick their butts. Right?
Yes.
You're going to say, you know what, Mr. Seller, I appreciate the fact that these are all the resale comps, but resale is not really our true construction, or not really our real challenge. It's new construction. And yes, the new construction is priced at $100,000 or $200,000 more than your house. And yes, it's in a different area, arguably not as desirable. But here's the reasons why most buyers, out of 10 buyers, 8 of them are going to choose new construction over your house. And here's what we're going to do to fight back. On a listing presentation, if you're going to do social media to reinforce you as a listing agent, and you're talking like what I just did, don't you guys see how that's a hell of a lot more powerful than doing another damn video about what you're having for lunch? I'm trying to make you laugh, but I'm hoping, it's what Julie always says, knowledge equals confidence, ignorance equals fear. Fear is also from the seller and the buyer's perspective of not knowing what you're now going to start learning, which is all about how new construction is going to change the real estate industry for certainly the rest of our careers, in many cases, the rest of our lives. So open up to it, realize that you can't fight, don't fight against it, embrace it, be part of it, and then apply these types of ideas and concepts to your entire life. And your entire real estate career will start to flourish because your mind is not going to go to limits. If you're finding yourself worrying, again, I was talking about this earlier, interest rates are too high, house prices are too high. I read all the comments. So I know what you guys are thinking. There can never be a real estate recovery. House prices have to fall. House prices are not going to fall. So you just forget that. Delete, delete, delete. They're not going to fall. House prices are going to increase. Already in major markets, they've already increased this year in one quarter, year over year by 5%. House prices are not going to fall. It's not going to happen. The recovery in real estate is not going to come from house prices falling. That's like the consensus amongst the ignoramuses out there. It's going to come from there being more knowledgeable agents that are able to do the types of things that Julie and I talked about in this podcast, and frankly, an increase in inventory, which is going to come from new construction. I know you're excited. I know you're feeling optimistic, but you're also feeling a little bit overwhelmed because you don't know what to do now. What to do now is join Premier Coaching. Just go to premiercoaching.com. It's free. There's no risk. We've done the heavy lifting and all the research for you. We know you adore this podcast. Imagine how you're going to feel being part of our Premier Coaching community. Go to premiercoaching.com or simply click on the link below. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.